All right, good afternoon. I don't know if you guys all saw at 2:30, the permanent representative of Sudan will be here to give you a briefing in this room, and obviously briefing you on what's going on there. A couple of travel notes. Secretary General will be going to Jamaica on Sunday to be there on Monday, where he will meet with Prime Minister Andrew Holness. They will discuss a wide range of issues, including the impact of the climate crisis in the Caribbean and the upcoming midterm review of the global framework for disaster risk reduction. They will also discuss the situation in Haiti and how to involve the international community more strongly, as well as Jamaica's leadership in efforts to reform the global financial architecture so that developing countries, including middle-income countries, can restructure and sustainably manage debt, as well as access technology and finance at affordable rates so as to invest for growth and inclusive, sustainable development. Jamaica, as you know, is the co-chair of the Group of Friends on Financing for Development alongside Canada. The Secretary General and the Prime Minister are scheduled to hold a joint press conference following their meeting, and that should be able to be followed on Web TV. And the Secretary General will be back in New York Monday night. Meanwhile, the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, will be going to Abuja in Nigeria. She's been invited to attend the 2023 Nigeria Governors Induction Forum for new and returning governors. That'll get underway on May 14th. During the opening ceremony, the Deputy Secretary General will give a keynote address on the topic of the task of nation building. She will also meet with senior government officials, the diplomatic community, and of course the UN team in Nigeria. She will be back in New York on the 16th of May. Turning to Sudan, on the humanitarian front, we and our partners are continuing to scale up our response despite the ongoing violence. The World Food Programme, for instance, has reached some 50,000 people in the state of Kassala, Gadaref, and White Nile with food assistance, and I think that is since late April when they resumed their operations. For its part, the UN Children's Fund is bringing therapeutic food in response to the malnutrition crisis. This includes some 34,000 cartons of aid, which is being shipped from France. These supplies are especially urgent following a fire which destroyed a factory in Khartoum. The facility had been producing therapeutic food for children suffering from the most dangerous forms of malnutrition. Another example of the direct impact of the violence and the looting on the humanitarian situation. UNICEF said the fire completely destroyed the factory's machinery as well as supplies to treat some 14,000 malnourished children. And as the violence is ongoing, UNICEF estimates that at least 450,000 children have been forced to flee their homes. This includes 368,000 who are internally displaced and 82,000 who have fled the country altogether. For its part, the UN Refugee Agency warns the situation is critical and the humanitarian response significantly underfunded, and as well as some of its neighbors for Chad, Sudan, South Sudan, and Ethiopia. UNHCR has deployed teams and is rushing aid to deliver with its partners, but ramping up its operation will urgently require new funding. UNHCR says some 200,000 people have now left Sudan. Turning to Myanmar, the Special Envoy for Myanmar, Noeleen Heyzer, paid her first visit in that capacity to New Delhi, to India, on the 9th and 10th of May. During the visit, the Special Envoy held discussions with the Minister of External Affairs of India, the Foreign Secretary, and the Joint Secretary, Smita Pant. Special Envoy Heyzer highlighted India's key role in the UN and as a leader of the Global South, holding the current presidency of the G20, as you know. She said she appreciated India's constructive efforts towards peaceful resolution on the situation in Myanmar and expressed the UN's gratitude to the government and the people of India for hosting over 53,000 men, women, and children who fled Myanmar. Press release was shared with you. Staying on Myanmar, our humanitarian colleagues are telling us that they are preparing for the arrival of Cyclone Mocha, which is expected to make landfall this weekend in the area between Kyaukphyu in Myanmar's Rakhine State and Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, which is home to many, many refugees from Myanmar. We and our partners have pre-positioned staff and supplies wherever possible. The UN Refugee Agency says it fears the cyclone will result in landslides and flooding of camps near the sea. UNHCR is carrying out emergency preparedness in Cox's Bazar and in Basan Char, working with authorities and its partners. A call center has also been established, an emergency communication system set up. Just want to flag that you may have seen out of Geneva earlier today, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights issued a fact-finding report on Mali, which concluded that there are strong indications that more than 500 people were killed, the vast majority of them summarily executed by Malian troops and foreign military personnel during a 5-day military operation in the village of Mora in Mopti in central Mali, and that took place in March of last year. The report is based on interviews with victims and witnesses, as well as forensic and other information sources such as satellite technology. That report is sent out of Geneva. The UN Forum on Forests just concluded its 18th session today. Delegates took stock of progress towards the global forest goals. As part of the UN Strategic Plan for Forest 2030, and identified key opportunities and challenges in this regard. This included emergency issues related to forest, energy, and livelihoods, challenges related to mobilizing increased financing for forests, and the need to strengthen cooperation and collaboration. More information on the interweb. And today is the International Day of Plant Health. Important. The day raises global awareness on how to protect plant health and help hunger, reduce poverty.
I did it right at the tip of my...
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I know the kind of plants you're growing at home, Edie. Anyway, it is an important day. And finally, we have a new member state that paid its dues in full, 105 now. Easy quiz for you. Received full payment from a country which has Romanian as its official language, but it is not Romania.
Moldova?
Yes, easy enough. All right, Edie.
Thank you, Steph. First, to follow up on the Secretary General's visit to Haiti. Jamaica.
Yes.
It's about Haiti.
Yes. Well, it's about all sorts of stuff, but anyway.
My question is about Haiti. Jamaica had offered to send some kind of force to Haiti. Is the Secretary General planning to ask the Prime Minister whether Jamaica could lead such a force?
I think we could expect a general discussion on Haiti. We'll wait for a little bit of specifics, but there are other countries that could also take the lead with, I would say, who have a deeper bench, so to speak. But I think Jamaica, as a regional leader, has an important role to play.
And on the Black Sea Grain Initiative, is Martin Griffiths staying in Turkey? Has he?
No, he will have landed in Geneva, I think, a short while ago. There are still conversations being had in various places, face-to-face, by phone. But unfortunately, at this very moment, I have nothing to report on the outcomes.
Because there have been all these speculations that it might be extended for 1 month, 2
Indeed.
months, 3 months.
I mean, speculation is not my forte.
Or not at all.
So we'll wait. I do have a statement for you on Sudan. The Secretary General welcomes the signing by the parties to the conflict in Sudan of the Declaration of Commitment to protect civilians and guarantee the safe passage of humanitarian aid in the country. While humanitarian workers, most notably our local Sudanese partners, have continued to deliver in very, very difficult circumstances, the Secretary General hopes that this declaration will ensure that the relief operations can scale up swiftly and safely to meet the needs of millions of people in Sudan. He reiterates his call for an immediate ceasefire and expanded discussions to achieve the permanent cessation of hostilities. The UN will spare no efforts to assist in the declaration's implementation and will continue to deliver humanitarian aid, ceasefire or not. Deji.
That's actually my first question, but you just announced it. So Chinese government has announced the special representative for Eurasian affairs, Mr. Li Hui, would visit Ukraine, Poland, France, Germany, and Russia, starting from next Monday. Given the very honest analysis by the Secretary General on the situation in Ukraine, what would be the expectation for from the UN on Mr. Li's visit?
Look, I mean, I think the trip is an important one. It is important for China and the European Union, various members, and other European countries to have, I think, engaging in strategic dialogue. We welcome anything that would promote and move us towards a lessening of the conflict in Ukraine.
Just one quick follow up on the Black Sea Grain Initiative, because we saw all kinds of stories there. I just want to ask one particular thing. Last time when UN sent out the readout, you didn't really mention the time for the extension, but for this time, will there be one? Will there be a time slot for that?
The future will tell.
Okay, then happy Friday.
And happy Friday to you. Okay. Yes, Murad.
Thank you. Any update regarding the humanitarian situation in Gaza?
No positive ones. Obviously, the Karim Shalom crossing remains closed, which, as you well know, is a critical point of entry for humanitarian supplies and especially for food for the Gaza power plant. I mean, we continue to follow the situation with deep concern. We've seen the escalation of violence. Civilians continue to bear the brunt of the ongoing hostilities. Again, the Secretary General calls on all the parties to adhere to international humanitarian and human rights law. He condemns the loss of life of civilians. Mr. Veneslan, our special coordinator, continues to be in Jerusalem, working the phones in the immediate area, in the region, and beyond. Yes, Toshi.
On the Black Grain Initiative, I'm sorry if this question has been already asked before, but the U.S. said Russia has no problem with exporting food and fertilizer, and banks should allow all the payments for fertilizers to be made. Is it accurate?
I mean, what is accurate is there are no sanctions on Russian food and fertilizer. There are, however, a lot of hurdles that we are trying to overcome that are both structural and also, I would say, one of, and understandably sometimes, of the private sector not always wanting to take the risk. And that's why Ms. Greenspan, the Secretary General, are in touch with insurance companies, shipping companies, to ensure them that, things are possible, right? We know the U.S. has given letters of comfort. Some banks have been involved in this, but there's I would say sometimes reluctance of the private sector to get involved. We're trying to ease that path through conversations that we regularly have in Brussels, London, and here in the U.S. Okay. I don't see any questions on the chat. I wish you a happy question, Linda, please.
I couldn't let that go. Anyway, I just have a question generally about the UN's position. There have been articles that Ukraine says they're going to sort of get rid of various Russian cultural, the Russian cultural imprint, so to speak, and not just destroying statues, but things impacting museums, the language, etc. Does the UN have a view in terms of cultural heritage and what countries should or shouldn't do?
I think anywhere in the world, cultural heritage needs to be respected, and culture cannot be used as a weapon of war. Cultural heritage should not be a victim of conflict, and this really applies to conflicts that we've seen all over the world. Okay, I will leave you in Paulina's hands, and I shall see you on Monday.